Hey, welcome everyone. Yeah, I got a show to do in about 90 minutes on Non Sequitur. It is about Cicada 3301. However, there's been some minor changes in that, which I'll update when I get to that. But that's not the point of this stream. This stream is completely different. This one is about Without a Crystal Ball, aka Katie Joy Paulson. Well, I probably should have said that backwards. Katie Joy Paulson, aka Without a Crystal Ball, and her lawsuit with Todd Chrisley, which actually is, well, no more. But let me tell you why. Let me tell you. So I knew there was going to be some big news coming down this Friday. I also knew that Katie was not going to like the big news because here's the thing. And I'm having coffee, but I'm enjoying my nice coffee while I'm talking to you guys about this. So, delicious. Tastes like victory. Now here's the thing. Both parties are going to they can't speak publicly, but people are going to spin this. But here's the lowdown. They cannot talk about each other publicly. Okay? They cannot mention each other's family, so they cannot mention each other. They cannot do anything that involves anything with each other. Now, Todd Chrisley doesn't give a crap about that, obviously, because he doesn't give a shit about talking about some nondescript nobody from YouTube. Not a big thing to him. She, however, cannot profit off his family any longer. She cannot use anything relating to his other cases, right? Because he's involved, obviously, still with getting a new trial for his IRS case, and then he's being sued again by the IRS agent. Don't know any details on that yet. I literally know absolutely nothing but what I've read on that. But supposedly, she's not happy that she was called a liar or something, even though it was kind of odd that she's going up on a stand saying, hey, they've never given any money to us to pay off their tax debt. And that the other people in their office are going, yeah, they have. We just haven't applied it correctly, right? So, fun fact, they can't talk about each other. But here's the kicker. Here's the win for Todd. And again, people are going to spin it. You can call this spin, but this is like straight up. In the interrogatories for Katie, the number 3 interrogatory was to give the name of the source of the producer or the person that worked for the show that Todd Chrisley is with called Chrisley Knows Best, and she wasn't able to do it. She had told them that she doesn't have a name, she doesn't have a contact, and that she did finally admit that her source was basically other news organizations. She made it up effectively. Now, do I have evidence that she just literally says she made it up? No. What I do have evidence is that it came from other sources. She said it came from other sources, other media sources, which means, de facto, she made it up, right? I mean, I don't know how else to interpret that. If you tell somebody, I have no source, I have no name, I never had a name, never got a contact information, I just got the information from the media sources, you can obviously infer from that they made it up. You don't need somebody to say, look, I made it up at that point. They don't admit culpability. So that's a big win. That's a huge win for Todd because she can never now come out and say she had a source for the people that aren't following, which probably nobody, obviously people that be listening to this knew what happened, but she was accusing Todd of blackmailing his daughter, that Lindsay Chrisley, that he had somehow bought or had his son Chris buy a sex tape for $5,000 and use that to blackmail her to have some kind of slanted testimony in his other cases, in the IRS cases. We all know that BS now. She did not have any information on that other than what she basically read things on the sources, and then she had lied and said that she had a source who verified that this was the case, or basically said, I believe you, I work for the production company, or I work for the Todd Chrisley. None of that was true. None of that was true. And that was his big thing, right? So for him to settle on this, that's the win. Because what else is he getting from it? The two things that he wanted. One, she can never now say she had a source that she didn't have because she can't talk about him. Delicious coffee. And two, she can never profit off his family again. So, he wasn't going for any, big monetary win. I don't think that he was expecting to get, millions of dollars out of her. And also, I think he's well aware, as I'm well aware, that 7M has a very strong case, and they're going to be adjudicated first. And I think they're going to win a lot of money. And I don't think that she has a lot of money to give. From what I understand, he basically, one of those situations you can't squeeze blood from a stone kind of thing. I know about that off of Kyle, but I'm still trying to squeeze. I'm going to get a few drops. I'm going to get a few drops of that Kyle blood. That is metaphorical, by the way. So people are like, oh, Steve's going to go hurt Kyle. No, it's metaphorical. When you say blood from a stone, I'll get some few drops of blood from that stone eventually. It's in the progress. But somebody says, well, it's not a win for Todd. That was already done. Well, yes and no. Again, his whole goal was to show that she had lied about this. And he knows other people are going to run with it. He knows people are going to put that out. So, I mean, I think it is a win. I think it is a win because she can never talk about his family again. And as somebody who, knows what it's like to have their family talked about, it's a big deal. He's got these other cases. She can't profit off it now. What else needs to be really shown? It was shown she didn't have a source, which was the biggest thing. That's why they did a motion to compel that she failed to answer to. I don't think the motion to compel actually fully got adjudicated. I think it was supposed to be like in November, wasn't it supposed to go, if I'm not mistaken? But it didn't get adjudicated from what I saw, and that she just basically said, hey, look, I got nothing. And so what are you going to do? You can't motion to compel somebody who doesn't have anything, right? If you just say, I got nothing, then he wins, right? So I don't know what else Todd could have really wanted, right? Yeah, no, I look, we all wanted people to be trashed in court, right? But I mean, here's the thing. I get it. I couldn't spend in good conscience another $20,000, $30,000 going to debt. And for what? To never be paid back again, to have my name cleared, which has already been cleared. I mean, we all know that Katie lied about me. That's not even something that any rational person would even talk about any longer, right? You only get the really, really stupid people that still think Kyle never perpetuated fraud in the court, or Katie never lied about something. I mean, these are just trolls at that point. You're not going to convince the trolls, so who cares? But anybody with any kind of real common sense or two brain cells will look at the record and say, yeah, Kyle lied in depositions. Kyle submitted false evidence to the court. Katie lied about Steve. Katie lied about Tina. Katie lied about Aaron. Kyle, Katie lied about pretty much, you name a YouTuber, she probably has to lie about them, right? So it was not beneficial to me to go any further, especially after 7M and Todd Chrisley have already filed. And Todd Chrisley, they reached the same conclusion. This is a big firm that he had. What is he going to get out of it? What is he going to get? Sure, he wanted to be, I'm not going to say vindictive. He's a Christian. I don't think that's a word he would use. I think he certainly wanted her to be exposed for being demonstrably a yellow journalist, a person who has no integrity, a person who doesn't understand journalistic ethics, never has any understanding of how to vet a story properly. And I think he did that. I think he did that very successfully. And so, yeah, I don't blame him. He has other court cases. He must be spending a lot in money as well for defense funds. I mean, these things are not cheap, as we all know. So I think personally, this is a win for him. You guys could agree or disagree if it is or it isn't, but I think we all could possibly get together and agree on the point that she never provided a source. That's a fact. She said she could not provide a name nor contact information for a source. That's a fact. And she also said that her source was other media outlets. That's the information I got. Quote, other media outlets. So, and again, I'm sure that could have been worse if they would have gone to full trial, right? Kyle was my partner for the Non Sequitur show that stole $60,000 that Katie Joy kind of perpetuated his narrative that I was committing medical fraud and disability fraud, which I've never ever had, and Social Security fraud, which I never had, and then sexual harassment, which was ridiculous because I don't care what planet you are and what possible world, and there's nobody's ever sexually harassed Katie Joy. It's just not even the realm of reality. But she was trying to spin these things and make up these stories to help Kyle take over the show, and it failed. I got the show back. I also got a confession of judgment for $115,000. I'm still trying to collect on that. But she was all helpful to Kyle, right? And then she did apologize to me, blaming Kyle, threw him under the bus, saying, oh, well, I just believed my friend. I didn't really check anything. He told me that Steve was doing this, therefore I just believed him. I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, sure, I believe it. I'll let people know about that, which I did. I tweeted it out. And I kind of said, look, I know he lied to you, which he did. I mean, she is right about that. Kyle did lie to her, but he lied to everybody. But that doesn't absolve her from her culpability in her playing her part to disseminate misinformation, because she did an apology video and then she retracted that. She actually struck the channel that was on, which if you do an apology for somebody and then you say, hey, look, take my apology, but if you use my apology, I'm going to strike your channel. That's pretty crappy. And then she ran with it even further, So But here's the thing: for the Tube Sock says he spent attorney fees and got a gag order. But here's the thing: what's the difference between that and a cease and desist, right? I mean, one's just more enforceable. So if he would have sent her initially cease and desist and saying, "Hey, stop making up lies about my family, stop talking about my family," and she doesn't violate that cease and desist, then the end result is the same: her not profiting off his family, her not spreading any more misinformation about his family. And he's got these other cases, which obviously I'm sure she wants to cover, but she can't now. She can't talk about them. We can. We are under, we're under no gag order. So, yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, Chin, without she does settle, right? I mean, but here's the thing, and any lawyer that every one that I've ever talked to has told me that 90 to 95%, something like that, of all cases get settled. Very few actually make it all the way to trial. Why? Because it's very freaking expensive. It's all but what you want to accomplish, right? And so the goal for Todd was for her to stop making lies up about his family. He won on that aspect. Oh, I'm sure he did cease and desist. I'm sure that they probably did that initially. But I mean, that's what it is. It's a gag order. Well, it's probably an NDA of some kind. I don't know if there's an NDA. I honestly don't. I'll probably find out eventually. But as of right this moment, I don't know if it's an actual NDA. But I assume it would be, right? But I don't know. But I do know that they cannot talk about each other. In other words, she cannot use her channel to talk about any of his other court cases or his family, his companies, or anything like that. And she certainly can't even go around saying that she had a source for something that she didn't have. Now that we know that she never provided any name or contact information and said all her sources were from other media. So she did lie about that. I mean, if you want to believe otherwise, knock yourself out. But I mean, this is Katie. I can definitely make the implication that if you say to somebody, all my sources are the media sources, I don't ever have a name, I don't have a contact, that you've lied about it. And I think that's what he was going for. Do I have any direct evidence that she said I lied about having a source? No, I do not have that. But I think it's definitely something we can infer. I personally believe it. Yeah, no, without question, I believe it. 100%. I believe she had no source. There's just no... Everything I know about this case, she had no source. I was told she had no source. I just can't prove that, if that makes sense. Right? So there's a fine line between being able to prove something and just hold the belief. So I definitely hold the belief, and I was told that there is no source, but I can't prove she actually said, "Look, I have no source." I think it's kind of what Todd wanted. I mean, here's the thing. Twitch Punisher says, if that's what Todd wanted, then fine. Personally, I would require her to admit she lied, and I thought the same thing. Right? Look, my lawyer told me the exact same thing. I'm going to tell you. You cannot get somebody to admit they lied. You just can't do it. It's always going to be in any kind of settlement or any kind of thing where they say there's no admission of guilt, no admission of liability, no admission of culpability. It's almost always going to be the case. It's just almost unheard of to get somebody to admit that they lied. And so, because you can't force somebody to do it. So we know Katie Joy, being the narcissist she is never going to admit she lied on something so big. It's not in her nature. She'll go down. She would literally lose everything, and live in a homeless shelter before she admits that she lied on that. That she actually explicitly says she lied on that. We've seen it happen with Kyle. Kyle spent time in jail rather than just tell the truth. I mean, he had a $10,000 bond out for his arrest because contempt of court because he failed to show up to address charges for lying to the court. So no, I mean, he wasn't in jail for lying to the court, but he was certainly in jail for not showing up to address those charges about lying to the court. So, semantics, right? But if he hadn't lied to the court, he would have needed either the civil or the criminal contempt charges. And having civil and criminal contempt charges because he didn't show up to address the fact that he lied to the court, he ended up in jail. There is no statement from Todd. Not yet. There probably will be. Why is this a lie? No, it's not a lie. It's not a lie. They settled. But I put it as a win, and you can say I'm biased, and you can say, oh well, you're just pro Todd, anti Katie. Okay, but at the same token, the facts are the facts of the case. She didn't have the source. She couldn't produce one, and she said that and this is what I was told. She said all her sources were quote other media. Yeah, he's not. Well, I don't know. I know. Look, he might have got his legal fees paid. There might have been financial restitution. I don't know. I don't know those details. I have no idea about those details. Nothing. So if there's any details about the lawsuit, I know, about the settlement agreement, I know nothing about them at all. Literally nothing. But I do know that she was unable to provide a name of a source, and said it was just from other medias. So I can infer reasonably and rationally she lied about having a source. So yeah, I really don't know. And they can't talk about it publicly. I assume they can talk about it privately, but I don't know. Nobody's told me. Right, we don't know the terms. So anybody who does know the terms, I can verify the terms, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea, and I'm not going to pull this Katie Joy where I don't want to hypothesize, what the terms may be. All I know is that I do believe that the terms are exactly what Katie said, as far as not being able to talk about the other person, right? Well, I mean, why not settle? I mean, again, if they're going to go to trial, let's put it this way, like on the Kyle Curtis case, right, for the non sequitur show. We settled for $150,000. What would be the point to go to trial to win the same amount and extend it out for, another year or something, or many more months? There would have been no benefit to even go to trial to have it adjudicated if I've already got a judgment for $115,000, right? Kyle was never going to admit that he lied. That you can't force somebody to do. My lawyers told me that as well. But you can certainly say that he would admit that there's no evidence of all his claims about me. He had put in his confession of judgment. They had no evidence of any fiscal malfeasance, no evidence of any fraud, no evidence of any, what was the other words he used? But I mean, it was just, he made it up. I mean, literally, he didn't want to pay me, right? I even have a screenshot where he says, hey, I can't pay Steve until, my lawyer clears it for his medical, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, he didn't even have a lawyer. It was a complete lie. He didn't even have a lawyer. He lied about having a lawyer. And so the whole story was just nonsense. And then people, pieced together bits of nonsense together thinking, oh, look at this, Steve admits this. No, never was I defrauding shit. It's obvious. But of course, Kyle had to come up with a reason not to pay me. And that was his reason. Oh, I'm going to, do what trolls do and what disinformation people do, is I'm going to piece little things together and say, oh, look what Steve did. And then finally in the confession of judgment, he said, yeah, I have no evidence of anything. So he did admit to that. But anyways, I mean, like I said, I think it's a win. Am I a little disappointed? Yeah, of course. I mean, I would like to see, her get skewered in the court system. Absolutely. But I honestly think that 7M is going to be the one to do that. Because what real skewering would there have been? She wouldn't have ever admitted that she didn't have a source in open court. And that's the main thing he wanted. So he would have not gotten that. He would have maybe got a settlement of some kind of financial. But again, I don't know that he didn't. So, yeah, I settled on really good terms. Yeah, I agree with you, Troop Stop. Look, I mean, there was idiots though going, why did Steve settle? I'm like, well, why wouldn't I? What's the? Are you kidding me? Of course, I'm going to sell for $115,000. I'll take it. That's exactly what I was going for. I went for 3 times what he owed me, plus there's other costs, legal costs and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, he only owed me 30, but he owes me a lot more now, and it's over 10 years, and I can renew it at 8% interest. So right now, anything we start collecting is pretty much just going to be paying off interest. It's 8% simple interest annually. That's $8,000. That's over $8,000 a year. It's closer to $9,000 a year, isn't it? $8,000 a year he owes me just in interest. And so anything that I collect annually, if I can get $5,000 worth of stuff on him annually, that's not too bad. Yes, $9,200 a year at 8% simple interest is not compounded. So if he pays me, if I get $10,000 out of him in 1 year, that doesn't even touch the balance. It doesn't even touch the balance. It's just it goes to interest for that year. But what was the settlement about? Is that what you're asking? The settlement for my case is that Kyle gave me back the channel. Kyle gave back, well, he came back to software. He kept all the Amazon stuff, all the Amazon wishlist stuff. He did keep all that. I wasn't able to get any of that. I got the Teespring back. I got the FM radio. I got all the podcast stuff, which I'll probably never obviously use, but I got all that back. Like I said, I did get the Teespring back. I deleted some. He misspelled the word atheist on some shirts, and so I deleted those. I don't know why I'm keeping those up, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the Teespring. I haven't gotten non sequitur to where it's even reasonable to sell merchandise with it yet. And that's my fault because I haven't had the time. People know that I went back to work. And I'm only doing non sequitur every Friday, and I skipped last Friday. So, that's just for right now. If I decide to do it 2 days a week, I'm going to, probably 6 times a month, maybe, eventually, but it'll be probably after season because, season sucks, man. I'm not a Christmassy person, so. God, this coffee's so good. But, so I'm doing a non sequitur on Fridays. And I've got a show today coming up here at 6 o'clock, so go check it out. Again, some changes, but I'm gonna make those changes right before the show. So, also, I was waiting for somebody to come in today, but it looks like they're not gonna be able to make it. Chin Without says Katie Joy Paulson is a loser, however you look at it. Oh, that is an understatement. Is Katie paying Steve $9,200? No, Kyle would be. It's Kyle owes me the money. Yeah. I didn't go to court with Katie because, again, my lawyers were like, what is it? Basically, I spent a lot of money to get analysis and being told, what does he want to get out of this? And they gave me the options, and I'm like, well, this is really kind of none of the above kind of stuff, because they said straight up, you can't, and they know she's dishonest. Look, anybody in the right mind knows Katie lies. I want to find one person, please, dear God, that may or may not exist. Please, dear God, that may or may not exist. Send me someone who's willing, who I have never talked to before, that is a real person that honestly believes Katie Joy doesn't lie. I want to have a conversation with that person. Bring them to me, please. I will pray for this as an agnostic in whatever media or medium of the ethosphere, what is it called? The realm of the heavens, transcendental, platonic realms, possible worlds, anywhere there's somebody that actually believes that Katie Joy doesn't lie, I want to have a conversation with them. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be awesome to have a conversation with somebody who legit 100% believes that Katie Joy doesn't lie, and then show them every single time Katie Joy. Well, I can't show them every single time Katie Joy's lied. Could be there forever. But just pick the highlights, right? Why did your lawyers ever encourage it though? Because lawyers do that. We had a good case, but again, our case was before Todd, Chrisley, and 7M, so we could have, at least gone further, or at least, got more, a settlement of some kind if we would have filed, maybe, right? Because she was dead to rights. She absolutely lied about me, and she had her countersuit was nothing. Her countersuit was absolutely nothing. She couldn't prove anything in there because it was all nonsense. Nothing was true in there. She lied about me in her countersuit. Well, one thing was true. Yes, I did release the quote confidential evidence she had in the TRO, but that was allowed by my lawyer. So there's no malice there. As a public figure, she has to prove malice. If I ask my lawyer, can I do this? My lawyer says yes. Clearly, there's no maliciousness. There's no malice to be attached to that. And even if and that's assuming there was any kind of statute violation. According to my lawyer, there's no violation of the statute. So I don't know. I don't understand that statute well enough to whether say that was any kind of violation or not. He said no. He said actually that statute is only for the public to access the website. And he says if you came across the material in the due course of the lawsuit, you can do whatever you want with it. That's what he told me. It's 115 and it's free, not 150. 8% of 115 is what, 9,200? Dear God, it may or may not exist. I like to be precise on that, Then what changed? Again, 7M sued, Todd Chrisley sued, and so they're going to get 7M's going to get money. They're going to go all the way. I don't think they're going to settle. My lawyers are like, that's solid. They did a thorough analysis. They've got Katie dead to rights. I don't think what would be the point of Robert Shin settling If he knows he's got the money to take her all the way to the end and get some actual damages. And I think that's what he's going to do. I'd be really surprised if 7M settled. And I think one of the reasons Todd Chrisley, another reason obviously he may have settled, is because, you know, he does have all this other stuff going on, and I don't blame him for that. If he hadn't, maybe, you know, gone all the way just to, you know, bankrupt her, maybe, I don't know. But I still think that the end result would have been very similar, except for, again, I don't know the terms and conditions of the settlement. So, if you guys hear anything on the terms and conditions, yeah, let me know. Yeah, it's diminishing returns. You know, I've already put in a large amount of money, of my own money, to try to get justice. That was more than anybody else did. I didn't see anybody else stepping up. You know, and I'm not talking about the donors. You know, the donors. You know, thank you every one of them. I thank every single person who donated, and I'm still going to, you know, be recuperating on that because GoFundMe said that's fine because you had legal fees. But the people that were like, oh, you know, we got to do something about Katie, what do they do? At least I was willing to put my money where my mouth is, right? Because again, the people that are defending Katie, I think they're either paid to do so. It's some kind of PR group that's working with them, or they're just psychopathies. It's just psychopathy. It's just sociopaths just doing it for the lulz. I mean, there's no really other reasons why you would support Katie Joy. I couldn't imagine other than that you have, you know, a hate boner for me, or you have a hate boner for people that she's screwed over, and therefore you're going to, you know, be even a bigger, shittier person and support somebody who you know harms families, you know, that harms other content creators. And you think that's going to look good for you in the long run? Okay, great. But you know what? I've been against Katie from day one. Well, I mean, after the Non Sequitur show, I mean, sure, we got along prior to that. But, you know, when she started falsely accusing me of stuff, I warned people how long about her? I mean, what else could I have done? What else? I mean, what else could I have done to warn the public? Because if people would have listened to me, there would not have been these major problems and issues with other content creators. At least not as much, I don't think. Right? Yeah, 9,200. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no liability admission are adjudicated on either side. If true means, well, no, it doesn't mean it's to wash monetarily. It just means that they're not meeting any liabilities. There could have been money as exchange. I don't know. I have no idea if she paid for his lawyers. I have no idea if she paid him any money or cash. No idea. But the fact remains that she cannot tell anybody publicly anyway. She could tell privately, and I'm sure that, you know, people will get things, you know, Katie talks, right? Katie is a talker. And so she'll find a way to get her narrative out to her mouthpieces like Nonsense or Unidick. She'll find a way to get that out there, right? So she just can't publicly talk about anything, but we can. And I'm telling you right here and now, she had no source. In my opinion, she had absolutely no source. All the evidence points to she had no source. Todd knows she has no source. And that she admitted she didn't have a name. She didn't have a contact information. And that she only got her information from other media sources. Those are facts I have in evidence. Those are facts I can't prove. So, anyway, and KDJ says KGP has harmed me. She's harmed a lot of people. Look, I mean, we're a big group of people that Katie Joy has harmed. Yeah, you know, and Tina makes a good point. Katie hasn't shut up about Robert and 7M lately. That's kind of telling to me too. I think she's concerned because, like I said, she's not I was told she's not happy about this settlement. Okay, I was told she is not happy about the settlement, and I think the reason why is because twofold. Again, one, she cannot talk about him and his family and any of the court case that's coming up or dealing with, because I do think he's going to get probably another trial. I think there's a very good chance he's going to get another trial. I think there's two violations of the Brady rule, which means that the prosecution messed up. They didn't turn over exculpatory evidence that they should have turned over, and that the IRS really screwed up by not properly putting the taxes that were paid to the correct accounts and show that they were paid. Right? That's a huge mess. I mean, a huge mess up, massive mess up. So I think on those two counts alone, there has been severe violations that should, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but you know, whatever, allow for him to have another case. And you know, they might not even refile. I mean, if they have to go through all this again, excuse me, they may not even refile. Yeah, the glamour response is the glamour response is what is that? I can neither confirm nor deny. That's the glamour response, right? And I'm sure I don't think Kitty even knows what that is. I don't think she knows what the glamour response is, but she certainly cannot confirm nor deny that she had a source. But we know she didn't. I know she didn't. I'm convinced absolutely she didn't have a source. But I will tell you, I can't prove that though. So at least that's the difference between me and other people talk about this stuff. There's nothing wrong to even speculate either. But people say things as facts that are not facts, or they just not have been proven to be facts. And when I mean proven, I don't mean in the logical sense. I mean, because we're talking about law, I mean in the evidential sense, right? In the legal sense of the use of the word proof, right? Because proof in logic is not the same as proof in a court of law. So, or evidential, to show evidence for. If she had no source, why did Todd let her off the hook? Did he? I mean, what was he supposed to do? Again, he cannot prove that she didn't have a source. I mean, yeah, sure, they can go all the way and have her cross-examined. Maybe she might lie under oath. But, this has to be very expensive for him, too. I mean, the guy has multiple other court cases going on. He's being sued again. He has defense fund, or defense thing that he's paying for the IRS thing. I mean, how far does he want to take it, I don't blame him. I mean, the whole thing was he was very upset the way she was going after his family. It was personal with him. It was personal. But I think he probably got what he wanted. If any he's cool with it and he's happy with it, then I stand by that. Right? I can't fault the guy. Look, it's not our money that was being used for that, right? It's not our time. And so I'm not going to sit there and judge somebody when I was in the same boat and I know exactly what he was going through. Right? I mean, everybody can sit there and second guess, and everybody can sit there and go, "Hey, well, why do you do this?" Well, most of us are not multimillionaires, and even Todd isn't probably a multimillionaire any longer. I don't know. I've heard hit or miss about his finances. It's none of my freaking business. But I do know he has the potential to earn, right? Even if he's not extremely solvent right now. Again, this is hypothesis. I really have no idea. But let's say he's not as solvent as he once was. So what? I mean, the guy gets offered millions of deals, millions of dollars in deals all the time. He's got things. If he can get out from under this IRS thing, yeah, he's going to be just fine. They're going to be offering him, stuff for his shows because his shows are popular. He's an entertainer. Do I watch Chrisley Knows Best? No. Have I seen some clips? Yeah, some of them are pretty funny, but I'm not into like scripted kind of reality shows, right? And we know it's over the top. We know that the producers make it overplayed. I get it. It's the name of the game. I don't fault him for that. But, one thing I definitely could say about the man, he loves his family. He literally adores his family. He'll do anything for his family. And so I think that this was to protect his family so she cannot lie about them any longer. And if that's the win for him, then absolutely I support him. Why would not anybody support him? And anybody who wants to spin this as a win for Katie, they're just, obviously they're just not going to be truthful to you. They're gonna be spewing stuff and say things that are just not true and probably say things that they cannot prove because that's what they do. I have everything that I say I can back up. Everything I say I can back up. Whether publicly or privately, I can. But what I can't back up, I definitely tell you, I have no evidence that I can show you privately or publicly that will support it. So anyways, you guys got any last minute questions? This is going to be a real short video. I do have to get ready for the Non Sequitur show. Go check it out. It is on Cicada 3301. Aaron will be joining me from EK People Suck. But if you got any questions, leave it in the comment section, and I'll try to get back to you on it. But that's as far as I know on it. I just want to make it very, very clear. As far as the actual details of the settlement, I know nothing about them. I swear to you, know nothing about them. But I absolutely believe it has been settled because I was told there would be a major thing by Friday. And that Katie Joy would not be happy about it. Those are the things that I was told. So, and I can't say by whom, but let's just say that somebody who's involved with the family. I'll just put it that way. Somebody who's directly involved with the family. I'll at least leave it at that. But this all checks out. And so, yes, I do believe Katie's telling the truth. For change, right? you don't want to say something has been settled and you can't talk about each other. Well, you know what? Here's the funniest thing. Now that I think about this, Katie would lie about that. She's not. She is telling the truth, but Katie would lie about that. Because I remember being told that I couldn't talk about Katie And I could. Even on an NDA, when I finally released it, I was like, there's nothing in here that says I can't talk about Katie. It just says I can't be disparaging or defaming her, which I couldn't care less about. She wanted Tina to have like a 10-year NDA. I kid you not. I kid you not. First she wanted an indefinite one with me. It means no expiration. I'm like, you're out of your mind. And I said, how about 6 months? They came back 3 years. And I said, at first I said, I think 3 months. They came back 3 years, I think. And then I said, how about 6 months? And they came back a year. I think, if I recall, that's how it basically went. But we did settle on a year, right? But yeah, she wanted Tina for 10 years. And I will tell you now, and I will put every channel that I have up for stakes on this. There is no way in hell that Tina would have signed an NDA. No way in hell. I've talked to Tina extensively about this. She was like, no, hell no, and hell no. So anybody thinks that Tina was even considering to do an NDA, you're wrong, and I would have to see actual evidence of that because you're full of crap. You're full of crap. Yeah, and I'm sure she spent a lot of money. Look, I'm pretty sure she spent a lot, and she's spending probably quite a bit more on the 7M because that's going all the way to full trial. That's going to cost her 6 to 7 digits probably because it's so massive. There's so much, like mine, there's only a handful of things that were on my case with her. Like she lied about the VAWA. There's no judge that ever put that under VAWA. That came out, that was a complete lie. She lied about me fabricating screenshots. That was an absolute lie. She lied about, she couldn't get my address right. But there's only like maybe 3 or 4 things with me. So it wouldn't have been 6 digits. It probably would have cost, grand total, maybe 40 to 50,000, maybe 30,000, somewhere in that ballpark, right? But with the 7M, did you see how many things they itemized? They're gonna adjudicate every single one of those over a period of 6 days, and they're going for 10 days. I think now. Correct me if I'm wrong, because people that follow this much more intently than I do. But if we remember correctly, the original trial is supposed to be starting somewhere in April, I think April, and it's supposed to go for 6 days, but they wanted to extend it to 10, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, she's probably going to end up spending $100,000 to $200,000 on the 7M case. Plus the already, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 she spent on the Toddy case, or no, $80,000 on the Toddy case, and probably another $60,000, $70,000 or in this case. So, I mean, she's probably end up spending $300,000-$400,000 on legal fees, if I had to guess. I don't know. Ask an attorney what the legal fees she's spending, but she's not going to ever say. But I mean, I think that's reasonable. I think that's for all the court cases she's been involved with. Yeah, a lot of the profit she's making is going to legal fees. And I'm going to tell you right now, she's probably going to be sued again eventually at the rate she's going. I mean, all she ever does is lie about people. That's her whole content. She's not going to change. She can't change. She has no reason to change because for her, that's profitable. In her mind's eye, because for some reason she thinks that she might be making more than she's spending in legal fees. I don't know, but since we got Tina here real quick, and before I wrap this up, Tina, hey Tina. First of all, Tina, do you want to come in? Do you want to say anything? You're more than welcome to. But Tina, how much did I give you for your legal fees? And anytime, anywhere, for anything, in any court case, in any state, how much did I give you for anything relating to any legal fees or anything? I mean, when have I ever sent you any money? Now, I did say that I would help Tina. I would donate to her. Absolutely, I would. She's my friend. Absolutely, I would donate to help her out in a heartbeat. But she didn't need it. So anybody who says that I used any GoFundMe money or any of my own personal money or savings or credit or anything like that to help Tina in her legal cases, you're lying. You're just absolutely lying. It's not even a matter of you just, throwing shit against the wall and sees what stick. You are just 100% lying. Tina is Patterns Without Problematic People. She had a false TRO against her from Katie Joy Paulson. Katie Joy Paulson filed 3 frivolous false TROs by lying in affidavits against myself, Tina, and Little Miss Noble. And all of them were dropped. It was determined without question after the fact that she had lied in her affidavit to the court. I had found out that you can lie in Minnesota on an affidavit to get an ex parte TRO, not an RO, because TRO and RO in Minnesota are not the same thing. One's a post-injunction, one's a pre-injunction, and you can't be held accountable for it. You can't be sued for it or anything like that. I literally cannot use her affidavit in court as evidence unless she said it somewhere else. Then maybe I'd be able to use it as secondary evidence. But she had said what she had said about me somewhere else other than the affidavit. But she lied. She literally lied in the affidavit just to get this stupid restraining order or temporary restraining order that didn't go anywhere because she just wanted to silence people. All she wants is people not to to talk about her. But with Todd Chrisley, she didn't care if Todd Chrisley talks about her, right? I mean, that was just giving her publicity. She wants probably Todd to talk about her. She doesn't want people to talk about her that know about her. She doesn't want people to talk about her that have the evidence. She doesn't want the Reddit group with 15,000 members talking about her. She doesn't want the channels like Without a Crystal Ball versus Without a Crystal Ball or any of these content creators that talk about Katie. She doesn't want that because that's not giving her the positive. Well, it's so funny. She doesn't care about negative criticism. She'll use any of it, but she doesn't want certain facts out in that negative criticism because then those things will get to some of her followers and they go, oh wait, shoot, man, this is not a good person. And so, yes, she prefers the accolades. She prefers the praise. She prefers the positive comments and the positive things and all the stuff that nonsense and those channels are doing. But if there's any negative stuff, she'll take that in stride too, unless you have the absolute dirt on her, which we all have. That she doesn't like. Talk about a pride flag thing where she absolutely lied about that, saying her neighbor destroyed her pride flag when we know without question now is the weather. That's the stuff she doesn't want people talking about, right? Because when you misuse a movement, like the LGBTQ plus, or you misuse Me Too movement, that looks really bad to her audience. And she can't defend against that. All she does is block people at that point, right? She has no recourse. She's not going to sit there and explain to people, oh yeah, I lied about my neighbors destroying my flag to get, attention from the gay community. She's not going to say that. She's going to say, oh, this ought to have been addressed and blocked you. And that's just how she operates. Yeah, I get it, Suzanne. It's a little bit disappointing, but at the same token, I am happy that Todd got what he wanted. I am happy that she can no longer talk about him. Pre-injunction, not injection. Yeah, I think maybe Chrisley would have gone very further if he didn't have those other lawsuits going on. I mean, I think he's played it smart. Look, he's looking at possible jail time. So is his wife if he doesn't get another trial. I think that has to take priority over some no nondescript blogger that just was lying about him, right? That has to be a serious consideration. If all of us were in the same position as Todd, what would we do? Right? What would we have to do? What would we put forth first? Our family and our livelihood and our freedom over some evil, nondescript gossiper that does nothing but lie about people on the internet and for her living, because she calls it, her job. So her job is basically to lie about people and profit. That's exactly what she does. Erin had the best description of her in the entire world. Was basically she says something along the lines of, Katie Joy throws in grenades, or she'll offer to help you, and if you don't take her help, she'll feel slighted. She'll throw a grenade into the story, blow up the story all over the place, then put the pieces back together in a way that fits her narrative, and then make you out to be the bad guy. That's brilliant. That's exactly what she does. That's her motive of modus operandi. So yeah, he has to take on his federal case, sure. Tina says, I just went back to listen. You didn't give me a dime for any legal fees, and you're not giving me a dime for anything. Exactly. So right here, right now, Tina and I are both agreeing and telling everybody straight out, if you tell anybody that I gave her any money, you are lying. You're 100% lying. And I have all the evidence that I didn't, because I have all my bank records. But there's no possible way anybody has any evidence against that, because one, it didn't happen, and two, it didn't happen. So you can't have evidence that it didn't happen, right? That's why people, the quote evidence they think they show has nothing to do with Tina. The lawyers can't talk like that. I can't know anything about her case and vice versa because of attorney-client privilege. But All the bills that I paid were for my case. I have the invoice numbers. I have the itemizations. Nothing relates to Tina. Not a damn thing. Not a single itemization relates to Tina. And yet I have all the itemizations. And by the way, that was like a year before all of this. The TRO was a year ago. I mean, it's 2 years ago now, I think, right? But the TRO was a year before any other legal action. So how is it that I paid for Tina's lawyer for a GoFundMe that was a year after when it got dropped? How does that work? Is that time travel? I mean, seriously, are these people so delusional that they think that Tina and I are able to do time travel? Because there's no possible way they can make that connection that, one, again, didn't happen, but two, it was a year prior. I'm just really confused how they think that works. What was the consequence for Katie Joy lying to a judge for restraining her against Tina? Absolutely nothing. You can lie in an affidavit on Minnesota, and there's no recourse. That my lawyer just basically said there's nothing you can do. They want the reason, I guess, is this, and again, ask an attorney. But the reason is this: they want a person who actually needs a TRO to be able to put down whatever they want without fear of being able to have reprisal against it, right? And we all know that witnesses don't always get things correct. We all know that people exaggerate. We all know that people may not tell the story exactly right. It's just human nature not to be perfect, and so we all try. We all try to be as factual as possible. Well, I do, but I mean, most of us try. I think most people that are in the commentary community and the internet and content creators, I think they really do try. I don't think a lot of them go out of their way to lie on purpose. There are some, obviously, but I don't think a lot of them do. But on the affidavit, you cannot use that in a court case. You can't say, oh, they slandered me from what was put on the affidavit. So you can go right now and say, hey, this person threatened to kill me. This person has been threatening to do this, and that, and kill my dog, and stalk me and sending text messages. You can put anything you want on an affidavit to get a temporary, what's called a ex parte temporary TRO. But then you got to go to court to prove it. Then you got to go to court and show it. Now, if you have a history of doing this, which happens to be the case with Katie Joy, she did it 3 times, there's something called vexatious litigation. Right? At that point, they start looking into things more. That's one of the reasons why the court system doesn't like Katie. They're well aware that she's what's called a vexatious litigant, because 3 times she filed a TRO and 3 times it was dismissed. What does that tell you? Groove says, I'm behind, but I'm pissed that he settled. Wanted to see her humiliated in court for it to be in the record court of law telling her she's not a reporter. I agree, Goose. I absolutely agree. But you know, it's hard. I'm gonna put the Streamliners to give anybody like last minute if you want to come in, because I do got to run. But if you want to drop in and add some words to this, by all means. I'm upset that in that regard as well, Goose. But at the same token, I get it. And how many people actually, like I said, fully go all the way to trial? It's hard. It's really hard. And yeah, vexatious litigator. Yeah. But everything I've told you, you can take it to the bank. People have obviously came to me and asked me to show things that, private, and I do. I don't mind that. But anybody who says that like I said, that I paid for Tina, yeah, they're full of crap, and they're full of crap. That's the funniest part. They know they're full of crap. They're literally just bullshitting people, and people are going, yeah, I believe this. It's like, oh my God. It's like, whatever. It's like, if those people are that stupid to believe that kind of nonsense, what are you going to do? You can't fix stupid, right? So, let's see here. Nobody wants to drop in? I mean, like I said, I got to end this. I really do got to get going, but I thought I'd give anybody, 1 minute to say your piece about this, and then we're kind of moving on. They can't talk about it, but I'm sure there's going to be more that comes out. But until it does, then I'm just going to hold tight. Like I said, I don't know any of the details. And I'm wondering if any of the details will come out on her side. Because, again, I'm assuming they can talk privately. She might be telling people private stuff, but she can't comment on it. I know Anas Frida. Anas Frida says, I want her exposed and destroyed in court. We all do. But here's the thing, 7M. 7M is, I got my hopes on 7M, man. You can contact me via my email. That's in the about on the YouTube. You can contact me on Twitter at Stephen McRae _. You can contact me on Instagram, although I don't use that much. You can contact me on Discord, even though I don't use that much. I've got all my contact information in the video description, I think, most of it. My preferred is Twitter DM. I use that for almost everything. I have multiple emails. The public email I have is basically a catch-all that I just use for all kinds of stuff. But I have multiple emails for the Non Sequitur Show and other things. I use for more business stuff. Those aren't really public, per se. Let's see here. But yeah, if you want to reach me, use my generic email, steveaskanything@gmail.com. I'll get it probably. Even though I get a lot of messages on that. I just get all kinds of stuff on that. It's been around a long time. Or on Twitter, yeah, at Steve McRae _. But yeah, hold out hope for the 7M because they really have a lot of stuff on her. She went out of her way to slander them. I mean, saying that they're human traffickers. Wow, that's harsh. Because she can't even say that she got that from another media source. Because that's what she was running with Todd Chrisley. Oh, I got this source thing or this tape thing from other media sources. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Go watch the Non Sequitur Show. It's going to be a very interesting episode tonight. Again, I'm changing things up about 5 minutes before airtime. Things are going to be a little different, going a little different direction. I think you might be surprised. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Cicada 3301, and we'll see you there. Good night.